Next up for the TV title, Wardlow against Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky, of course, just won that title. What was it, last week?
Yeah.
Okay. They started out, I thought, okay, remember I've said good things about Scorpio Sky in the past. When the company first started, he and Daniels and Kazarian, they had some good matches with people. He looks like he's an athlete. Wardlow, we know, is a future budding star. He looks great. He's got the idea. He needs experience. His promo last week it didn't set the world on fire. It wasn't rotten, but he needs some confidence there. But okay, here's his TV title match already. Guy just won the belt last week. Okay. And Scorpio Sky has Dan Lambert and Paige Van Zant and Paige Van Zant's husband at ringside with him. And was there somebody else?
Ethan Page? Was he there?
No, he wasn't there. They could send him to the sports entertainer companies where he can do more green screen. I wouldn't miss him at all. But point is, Wardlow and Sky started out in the first 90 seconds, 120 seconds. They had a good little match going, a big baby face, smaller heel type of thing. Everything looked normal. I'm like, they're taking their time. They're not rushing. They're not doing anything stupid. I'm like, okay, we might have something here. And then Scorpio Sky is out on the floor and Wardlow's going after him. And Paige Van Zant walks right up and gets in Wardlow's face. Now, okay, I know with today's environment, you can't have the baby face snatch the heel woman and just toss her aside or punch her out or whatever. Back in the territory days, that used to get a big pop. But why does he have to stand there and look at her and put up with her jaw-jacking when he's in the middle of a match and he could have just walked around her and gone on about his business? She's not going to stop him. But he stands there and lets the girl tell him off. And then he starts to say, but her husband gets in front of Paige Van Zant and is telling Wardlow, like, what are you going to do about it? Well, there's the perfect place to drop the husband like a fucking hot potato. But instead, Wardlow stood there and looked at that. And then Paige Van Zant's husband turns around and grabs Paige and starts kissing her. And Wardlow's standing there watching that. And then Scorpio Sky does a drop kick from out in the ring outside, baseball slide type of thing, and catches Wardlow from behind and stops him. And they go to, that was the break spot. I don't and I know Wardlow's not been around long enough where he would know any better. So he's doing what he's told. And I know Paige Van Zant and her husband don't know what the fuck they're doing in this business, or Lambert. One would have thought that Scorpio Sky, being the veteran in this equation, would have said, you know what, that's going to make you, Wardlow, look like a complete fucking moron. As you're coming around the ring, if Paige Van Zant, if they even wanted to involve her there, and why, I don't know. If she gets up in your face and you just say, you fucking hook her under her arms and pick her up like a little baby girl and set her to the side and continue on your way, and there's her husband and sticks his finger in your face and you drop him with one punch, and then Sky's gone around and comes in and hits you with the baseball slide. Now you have removed two obstacles from your path, but you got jumped from behind by the fucking guy you're fighting. You don't look like a complete imbecile for standing there and watching these displays of whatever go on. But nobody brought that up. So they come back from the break and they've got the heat going on Wardlow after a girl made him look like a moron. And he's a brand new babyface, but then he makes the comeback. And they went back and forth a bit, but Wardlow hit him with a choke slam, and then the power bomb, and then number 2, and then number 3. And the people love the power bombs. The power bomb symphony. And then after number 3, Lambert jumps up on the apron and Sky rolls to the floor. I don't know why they had to do 3 and then he had to roll to the floor. He's still able to roll after 3, but nevertheless. So here comes, as soon as Sky rolls out to the floor, the whole thing falls apart. Spears comes out carrying not 1 but 2 chairs. The whole match stops. MJF comes from behind at ringside and runs Wardlow into the ring post and dazes Wardlow. And as he rolls into the ring dazed, Scorpio Sky, who just took 3 power bombs, comes in from behind him and rolls him up 1, 2, 3. So now Wardlow has lost his first match on AEW because of MJF. I get where they're going there. But then Van Zant's husband comes in, who, as far as I'm aware, has never had a worked wrestling match in his life. And he gets on top of Wardlow and starts throwing. They had an old saying back when I first got in the business about the old timers. So I got in the business 40 years ago. Guys then were talking about the guys that got in the business 60 and 70 years ago. And they had a phrase with some of those guys: their punches look like shit and they hurt. And that's a double negative. You don't want bad-looking punches that also hurt. But this is what I think this kind of was. Fake forearms that Wardlow was blocking with his arms because you didn't want this fucking non-trained, non-working guy to just throw straight punches to your face like should have been going on in that angle. So he's throwing the fake forearms, but he's probably got some juice on him enough that he's bruising up Wardlow's forearms. Then Wardlow fights back, and MJF shits himself and is about to leave the ring, but he catches MJF, and that's where Spears hits him with a chair. And then they get more heat by all these heels. And then MJF comes out with a stack of money and pays off Dan Lambert, puts on the diamond ring, and nails Wardlow with the ring as the other heels hold him up. This went forever. There was no referees. There was no security. There was no bell ringing. There was no, the only thing the announcers could say was, well, Wardlow doesn't have a lot of friends in the locker room because of things he's done, and he's been with MJF, so nobody's coming to help him. Do you have to be friends with the referees? Do you have to be friends with security? Are you friends, Brian? If you're getting mugged on a street corner and a cop comes by, does he say, well, I can't help that guy. I'm not friends with him. They had untrained green people involved in this. There was too many moving parts. They distracted from the main issue. Fucking hell. If Lambert's going to manage Scorpio Sky, put him in the corner, leave Paige Van Zant and her untrained, goofy-looking husband to do something else because it didn't fit here. They just got in the way. Spears with 2 chairs coming out and blah, blah, blah. Good fucking God. You've got a heel with a manager and you got a baby face. You need to fuck the baby face. And you got his former employer, MJF, coming down with a fucking diamond ring gimmick. You can't figure out how to get that job done without involving Paige Van Zant and Scott Spears or Sean Spears or Stan Spears or whoever he speared, as well as it was a mess. I hate to say that about stuff MJF is involved in, but it wasn't his fault. MJF needed to be there. Wardlow needed to be there. Scorpio Sky needed to be there. Lambert in the corner for a distraction. Everything else was ridiculous, and the ending went on so long, forever, that if any heat that it did get was bad heat, not good heat. It wasn't heat like, oh, we want to see those heels get their ass kicked. It was heat like, they expect us to believe this would really fucking happen. What'd you think?
I agree with a lot of your criticisms. I think if there's anything to look at there that I thought was interesting was the crowd actually during the match. It seemed like they thought it was going to happen and they were ready for Wardlow to win the TNT belt. So there's a natural thing there for MJF to screw him out of that title if you're going to keep the belt on Scorpio Sky for some reason. And boy, that's That's heat. Those people were ready for it. And then they didn't get it. And then it went on for a while. And again, I still am of the argument that Shawn Spears takes down segments because he's so goofy. He's the Brandon Cutler of the MJF segments.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I'll see where they're going with this. I was surprised that this is where they went with Wardlow, that he got pinned by Scorpio Sky.
I know his first loss in the company is to Scorpio Sky, out of nowhere. But again, I'm sure Tony had this idea a while back, and he's not going to change. Even when he sees things moving in another direction, he can't recognize it.
And I just want to say one other thing. I've always said on the show that, Scorpio Sky to me is one of those guys that's pushed the way he is because of how popular he is with certain guys behind the scenes more than with fans or anything else. I will say, I always get a little bit of pushback from people in AEW who will say, I don't know what happens, but he's the most charismatic guy in the world behind the scenes. So there are some of those guys. Like
you say the same thing about Brad Armstrong.
That's what I was going to say.
He was so hilarious and such a personality, but on camera, it wouldn't come out.